Hey guys, it's Jarek there, Dragon from Red Dragon Airsoft. Got another review today, and this one is of a very special gun. This is of the ACM PPK. Now, a lot of people were not expecting me to do a review of this. The reason being is that I'm only going to be carrying about 3 of these, and then once they're sold out, they're gone, never being carried again, because they're incredibly hard to import into the United States. So if you're wanting one of these, they're very rare, they're very hard to find. They're the only PPKs you can buy in the US pretty much at this point. Your only other option for a PPK is a Maruzen, which is plastic and costs quite a lot of money, and even more if you want to get a metal slide for it. And this is actually a metal, this is a clone of the Maruzen, but it is metal and can use propane. So, giant advantage. This is really a PPK I've been waiting for a long time. Now all we need is someone to make a P99. It's incredibly hard for companies to make Walther-made guns because Umarex holds the patents for their licenses, and no one else can really make them unless they go straight through Umarex to make those. Otherwise, Walther and Umarex will both sue you, so you don't want to do that. But back on the review, if you want to buy this gun, link right below this video, right down there to where you can buy it. There's also a link down there to RDAF's forum where you can talk to the community. Alright, so let's move on. So the box, obviously knowing that this is pretty much, in people's eyes, pretty much a Bond trademark almost. The PPK is James Bond's gun. He's always used it in almost all the movies, with the exception of the newer movies where he uses the P99, which is also Walther made. This is personally, myself, kind of bugged me. Now, I seem to be the only person that thinks like this, but the PPK has been around since before James Bond, so it's not the James Bond gun, it's the Walther PPK. But, whatever, everyone realizes that it's very popular amongst James Bond fans, so everyone knows, and they just put 007 on there, just for the heck of it. Also says it right on the bottom as well. So, box for a Chinese-made gun is actually a pretty nice box. So let's go ahead and open it up. You can see a look around the box a little bit. Nice box. Anyway, it's really just a cardboard box, but hey, it'll do good for shipping. As you can see inside, it actually has very nice styrofoam. And then, here it is. Comes with some extra O-rings for you, so if one of the O-rings blows, which is kind of not an incredibly rare thing to happen in Chinese-made one, there's also a few extra springs in there. So, if something breaks, you don't have to try to find extra parts, it's right in the box. And it also comes with an Allen wrench key and some adjustment tools. And this is also telling you what company made this. The company is XDY. No, not the gears. The company is Xingde Yang. So it's a Chinese company, and I've seen a few of their other products. If there's an importer out there that's looking for more Chinese-made guns, try to find this company, because I've actually made a decent amount of clones that are actually pretty high quality. Now, like I said, I got 3 of these, and none of these had leaks. None of these were lemons. They all worked perfect as they should have. So, overall, it's a pretty good company. It has better quality control than most Chinese companies do. There are other clones. One of them is, I probably wouldn't bother with, but one of them is a clone of KWA's M9. So they're starting to realize what companies are the good companies. Again, I wouldn't really recommend buying the KWA M9 clone. I just get a KWA M9. But, hey, they're actually trying to go somewhere, so let's let them do that anyway. But here's the actual gun. Get it out of the packaging. Get this box out of the way. So here we go. The gun itself has very nice trades to it. Now, I know you can see the trades right here. However, I took some pictures early and I'm going to splice them on. So right here, it says Walther, Carl Walther, and pretty much has all the real trademarks of the real PPK, model PPK, caliber 9mm, and 380 ACP, since that's what the real PPK was. So it has some very, very nice trademarks there on the gun. If you flip it over here, it says Walther on the grip, and it also says it on both sides, and it has the red dot safety. If you flip it over to the other side, you'll notice that one, it has a nice chrome barrel, which makes the thing look a lot better. And it also has more trademarks on this side, which say licensed trademarks of Carl Walther, Germany. And then it has its own unique serial number right next to that. That is actually different in all three of the models I got. So it is a unique serial number. So it's pretty cool that they have the actual trademarks on there. Also, like I mentioned, I did import this from Hong Kong, and it doesn't have the giant painted orange. What it has is a barrel painted orange on it. So you won't have a giant orange slide that is pretty much ruined because of the paint. Instead, you'll have an orange paint around the barrel, which is very awesome. Probably noticed what I just did there. This gun is a little bit different with the way the slide locks back. When you're out of BBs, since this magazine has no gas in it and there are no BBs in it, if I pull the slide back, it will lock back. When you're out of BBs, this gun has an internal slide lock, which basically means there's no slide release anywhere on the gun. You gotta empty or take out the magazine, or take out the magazine, either put in a fresh magazine or just pull back on the slide when you have no mag in. And you can pull the trigger and it'll be locked there. While we're on the topic of magazines, like I mentioned, this is 100%, this is a clone of the Maruzen PPK, so it's 100% compatible with the Maruzen PPK's parts, including the magazine. And this magazine actually kind of surprised me. It's a very small magazine, which means quite a few different things. It also has its own trademarks on there, but it only says caliber 6mm BB. Can't talk today, I'm sorry. It says it on both sides. So that's the only trademarks it has, besides some holes on it that originally would show where the bullets were. But like I said, this magazine is very, very small, which means quite a few different things in terms of the gun. The whole gun itself is a compact gun, so it's not shooting the hottest out there. It's shooting at about 200 feet per second just because of how small the mag was. If it was shooting any hotter, you would run out of gas way too quick. Now, something else to mention, this gun is pretty sensitive to the cold. It was about 50 degrees outside, and Portland has a very high moisture level. It is not good for gas guns in any way whatsoever. It makes it feel like it's 20 degrees colder than it really is with the high moisture level. So this was having a little bit of trouble. After about one magazine, it would kind of get cold, start to condense, not work the best. However, for just plain gas consumption, it's actually pretty decent. You can get about a little over 2 magazines with one gas fill, and these magazines hold 23 rounds, so for a small mag, they hold quite a bit. So as a whole, it's pretty good for gas consumption, but it's not exactly the best when it comes to being cold. So interesting how that plays out. However, like I said, pretty good in gas consumption. So for being such a small gun and for being such a small magazine here, you can't really complain. Now, like I said, this holds 23 rounds. It is double stacked. As you can see, it has a pretty wide nozzle on the top. So magazines are actually brilliantly designed. Actually, very, very nice. The whole gun, as I mentioned earlier, the whole gun is made out of metal. And the original Maruzen was made out of plastic, which meant you really couldn't use green gas. It was too powerful. It would end up breaking the slide unless you got a metal slide. With this one, use propane all you want. It's meant to work with propane. That's what I was using in the tests. Again, use it all you want. The slide is metal. The whole grip, the handle is metal. Really, the only thing that isn't metal are the side panels, which are just attached to the side, and they have a very nice rubberized texture to it. This gun as a whole is very, very comfortable. For being so small, it just sort of fits in your hand very nicely, which is really hard to do at this angle. But yes, it fits in your hand very, very nicely. So overall, it's a very comfortable gun. It feels very similar to the actual PPK. I've gotten plenty of shooting time with an actual PPK. I don't own one myself, or I'd compare it right here to it. But like I said, unfortunately, I don't own one. But I've got to shoot it a bit, and it feels pretty dang close to this one. They're both very, very similar, and they both feel almost identical, so it's definitely a comfortable gun. My only problem with it is that I have a tendency to have, I have not a cross thumb stance. This is the way you're supposed to be shooting, but I have a tendency to kind of move my thumbs up, so I have a tendency to almost block the slide. So you just kind of watch that if you shoot like I do. It just takes a little bit of time getting used to. The sights are usual PPK sights. You can see they're pretty small because the gun is compact. That should be expected. Overall, they're pretty easy sights. You can use them easy, and this whole sort of, it's not a rail, but it's sort of rigid on the top actually helps with aiming up the sights. The sights are not adjustable. They're just pretty much like 1911 sights, how they're part of the actual slide. moving back to the hammer is single and double action. And going to the safety, when it's on safe, you can't pull the hammer back, can't pull the slide back, it pretty much locks everything. Take it off safe and cock it, and if you put it back on safe, it's a functional decocking lever. Something to notice about this, I've heard something in the past and seen other videos where basically if you decocked it, it would put out some of the gas, make the BB, if there was a BB chambered, it would kind of fall out of the barrel. I haven't had that problem with the PPKs I've got in. Mine are the second generation of the PPKs they have made. So mine doesn't have the problem, but apparently earlier models did. Just something to point out. The mag release is up here. Now the reason for that, it looks kind of uncomfortable if you're looking at the gun, but the gun is so small, it's actually very easy to push the mag release and pull out the mag. The magazine itself continues on the bottom, and that's so your pinky can just rest on it, otherwise your hand would kind of be falling off the bottom of the gun. How to disassemble this gun is pretty easy. You just push the magazine button and pull the mag out. Set it off to the side, don't need it right now. Pull forward on the trigger guard and down, while making sure this stays down, you'll pull back on the slide. I gotta turn this around. Pull back on the slide and up, and it will slide right off. Then you can see the unique way this works. The spring is pretty heavy. It's a pretty heavy spring. The barrel is pretty set in place, and this is where the hop-up unit is. It's this Allen wrench screw right there. You simply adjust the hop-up up-down by screwing that. I'll show you the slide now. Slide is it's pretty hollow. It looks a lot different than other ones because you're used to seeing a barrel. It's almost, you pretty much would only have to unscrew about 1 or 2 screws, and then you could take out this whole section back here. So it's overall a very simplistic gun, and Maruzen did a pretty good job designing it. And to put it back together, you basically just do the same thing but in reverse. The only tricky part pretty much is the spring, getting it to coil the way you want to. Oh, I'm making sure this hammer spring, the trigger guard is down. And as you can see, it's overall very easy to do. Now I know you guys want to see some of this shooting, so I'm going to clip in a video right here. Simply me just dual wielding this gun, 2 of these, just because it's cool and because I can. Alright, so like I said, it's overall pretty fun to shoot. The blowback is nice and crisp and goes straight back. It kicks pretty nicely. The gun is so small, there's not a whole bunch of recoil to it, but there's enough for you to feel it, and overall enough for it to feel pretty nice when you're shooting it. So again, this is the ACM, it's also made by XDY PPK. It's overall a pretty nice gun. Really, there's not too many of them, so again, if you want to buy this gun, there's a link right below this video to RDA's website. There's also a link below us to RDA's forum where you can talk to the community. So with that said, that has been Red Dragon Airsoft's review of the ACM PPK.